From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of ParksCenter, where we're going to go over this week's top 7 news stories from around the Disney world. Joining me on tonight's show, we have Allison.
Hi, everyone.
Chris.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Matthew.
Boo to you.
And Tyler.
Siva Co.
I love that that's become a thing for this show. All right, well, kicking off tonight's show, our first story of the night is all about Mickey's 90th birthday. So we had an announcement, or a few announcements, I should say, come out this week about what Mickey's 90th birthday celebration is going to be all around the Disney World. Walt Disney World specifically, I'll go over the highlights here. It's going to be celebrated in park from November 16th through 18th with some special merchandise and food and beverage items that we don't have the full specifics on yet. We'll also be having some happy birthday sing-alongs with the Dapper Dans, and it looks like a dance party in Tomorrowland, because it would not be a celebration without a dance party. Disneyland in California is going to be having a celebration on November 18th, featuring some of his special friends in the Disneyland Band, which I think is kind of cool. And all the resorts throughout the world are in 2019 celebrating the world's biggest mouse party, which I assume is just a big old pun on a house party. I think this seems kind of neat. I'm looking forward to more specifics on what's coming next year or any of the merchandise options. What do other people think about this?
I think it's a fine way to celebrate Mickey's 90th. I like that it's not, it's not going to be a huge, that it's the kickoff rather than like the end point. The exhibition in New York City sounds amazing because that's actually doable for me. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a very big party in the parks and beyond.
Yeah, my family's in New York too, so I'm now looking at flights so I can get up and see the Mickey exhibition in New York City. But also, we do have some details of some of the snacks that are going to be offered, and the Ample Hills Creamery descriptions are out of this world. I used to live by an Ample Hill Creamery in Brooklyn, and so when it opened on the boardwalk, I was super excited. And all 3 of these sound really good to me. Usually, I like into 1 or 2, but I'm really excited to mix the chocolate with the peanut butter flavor.
Ooh.
You got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
And then later go back and get the funfetti thing too, because that also sounds delicious and right up my alley. But I'm really excited.
Love Ample Hills.
Now, we've actually spent the past 2 years, I guess you can say the 88th and the 89th birthday celebration with Mickey at the Magic Kingdom. It is a fun experience to be a part of and be in the park of the day. They give you the nice happy birthday Mickey buttons everyone gets to wear. And of course, it's a madhouse rush to get to actually talk to Mickey and spend some time. So it's been a lot of fun to do that with the family. Of course, get to the Move It, Shake It, Dance and Play It with a big Mickey deal about that, as well as he's on top of one of the gifts. So it's nothing that's been over the top. I hope to take it a little bit more, maybe on the next level for the 90th. And I know there's a big build up to it. But we're looking forward to being able to do that for the 3rd year in a row and have a part of the birthday party for Mickey. But I'm also curious to see what this mouse party is going to be. And like you said, it's going to continue on. So it's not a start of, it's basically a start of something that's going to be long going, and have a lot of fun with all the parks there as well.
For sure. Moving on to our second story of the night. In space, you can still hear Test Track scream, believe it or not. So the new space restaurant that is currently under construction, there might be some noise problems because the next door neighbors are a little loud. I don't know if you've ever stood underneath Test Track for any period of time, including long enough to get on the ride, but it's really loud. So I can completely understand that they're going to be having some issues with the construction here, with the noise complaints for the diners. Are they going to get around this? Are they going to actually be able to noise dampen enough to solve this problem? Or are they going to try and do something ridiculous to like cover it up? Is it going to just be that loud inside of there? What do people think is going to happen with this?
If I can't hear Figment putting a train through the room in the next room of Journey into Imagination, I'm sure we can soundproof a restaurant so that you can't hear it outside of the building. I can only assume. I mean, that's just me. It like there's a lot of soundproofing stuff you could do. My question is like, have they tried it and they're like, it's like much louder than we could probably sound dampen with some of the bumpy foam. That's the only thing I can imagine.
Somebody's going to be turning up the volume on the other theming that goes on in this restaurant. The rockets flying around your table are going to be a lot louder than what we expected in the past. And it's so often too. That's just it. It's not something you have to take care of. Like even with the Figment train, that's at least less frequent than you've got those cars flying around. So it's strange that it wasn't an issue before just recent.
How are they just figuring this out now? This restaurant has been announced like, was it D23 last year? It's been a long time that this space restaurant was announced. We've known for a long time. So I just presume that before they announce things, there's been some preliminary schematics drawn up and like they know where this is going.
This is what happens when you use Google Earth to choose your location.
I don't understand. And I would find this really funny if I didn't really want to eat at that space restaurant. So I really want them to figure this out.
Yeah, I gotta think they're gonna do something. Either come up with a creative workaround or just go, invest more into the sound dampening technology. I can't see them just, throwing up their hands and saying, well, oh well.
Well, the easy thing is just reduce the speed of Test Track.
Ooh.
And then there won't be any sound and no one will be screaming when it comes around the front part of the building.
It can just be like the green side of Mission Space.
Are we going to change it from Test Track to I-4?
Then there's the sound of crashing that they have to worry about.
Oh.
Oh, they'll just put on the exit doors right before the speed ramp. Quiet, please.
Instead of that sign where it says 60 miles per hour, it's just going to say, please don't scream. You like instructions how to ride.
There are people trying to eat here.
Oh gosh, what if they took the noise directional stuff that they have on California Screamin' and they put that around the side of Test Track's track?
The tubes?
Yeah, the
That's
tubes.
not a bad
Test Track
idea.
has tubes now.
The Grand Fiesta Tour.
Maybe we could enclose Test Track and make it have a consistent theme so that it's all digital the whole way through.
They absolutely should have even done that when they redid it to be Chevrolet. It absolutely, that whole area should have been enclosed because it's weird that you're inside this Tron world and then all of a sudden you're just outside for the power part. We're supposed to be in simulation and then we're outside. It's bizarre. It really should be enclosed.
I 100% agreed. Moving on from there, though, to another Epcot offering. So this year's Food and Wine Festival for annual pass holders, y'all can get a hold of something a little extra. That's kind of cool, honestly. So if you are an annual pass holder and you show up at the festival center and check in, you'll receive this neat annual pass holder Mickey magnet. But on the fourth visit, visiting once per day, you get this awesome looking cutting board. Like I'm genuinely surprised. This seems really, really nice for a Disney free giveaway thing. Is anybody else kind of blown away by this?
Yeah, I'm really surprised, and I think maybe it's a sign that because of the goodwill after doing the annual pass holder nights at Magic Kingdom and how well received they are, even if they're not super well organized. They're like, maybe we really should give a couple of things to our annual pass holders and ramp it up a little bit just so that they feel somewhat appreciated. I hope that's in the psyche, but I have no other real explanation because this looks like something that they would stick like a $39.95 sticker on
Yeah.
and put it in the Emporium.
Well, back in 2015, they gave out the really nice glasses, the tumbler glasses, the glass with the food and wine signature on the bottom. The next year, they gave out the actual wine glasses, which were really nice as well. And then, of course, back in 2017, we got the really cool Remy button. So I don't know, maybe this is the makeup for last year's decision to go from glassware to a button. But it is a really nice cutting board. The great thing is it only takes 4 visits, and it's a really nice item for the most part. Mind you, it looks like it can only be used to cut no more than 2 apples at a time. It's still a very nice looking item.
That's a feature, not a bug.
I got to ask a question. Now, I'm not an annual pass holder, but in those 4 visits you take to Epcot, how much money are you guys spending on food while you're there?
So I'm personally, I'm going to be down there for like a small, like 4 or 5 day span, and I do technically have an annual pass. I'm probably for at least 3 of those 4 days going to just duck in, tap in, say yes, I'm here, and then leave.
Oh,
That's what I think.
I'm not going to do that. That would be unethical. No, we can't do that. No, technically though, you got a point there. You come in and you got you go around the World Showcase. You're going to be spending $6, $7, $8 per item just to try a few of those things that are around there. So if you make that trip, it's going to be worth their while to have you come back in for another 3 times. It does make a big difference as far as bringing the guests in. But be honest, I love food and wine, so it's not really that big of a deal anyway. It's like I'm coming in anyway, so that'd be perfect.
If you're going anyway, it's really just a bonus. But if you're looking at like how much money I'm spending there, it's actually not very much because I don't eat a ton of things, so I get like 2 items, and then I'm like, oh, that's enough for a meal. And I don't think a lot of people function that way, and they also don't usually drink there. But I'm getting this as a bonus. I'm thrilled.
Not bad for free.
I love free 99.
What I was getting at was that like you're going and spending like as much money as you would on food, and then it equates to how much you would pay to buy that anyways. But everyone's like, it's a free bonus, so I totally get it anyways. I was just trying to make some negative point. Ignore me.
Moving on to our next negative point. Hey. So
King of transitions since Pete isn't here.
hey, it's a tough job. So the Up Bird Show, Up a Great Bird Adventure. This is going to be rewritten due to poor guest response. Good. Thank you. This. If you feel like suffering through, how long is this? 33 minutes of it. You can watch the entire thing on our YouTube channel. I would recommend against it because it's really, really cringy and not easy to watch.
So have they announced when Up a Better Bird Adventure is set to open?
Oh gosh, I really hope that they just scrap this whole script and come up with something new rather than trying to tweak or fix it.
I hope so too, but I'm also kind of impressed that they're changing it this quickly. And I think some of that is the power of the internet, because now like general park guests are like, oh, should we bother seeing the show? Let me do a quick Google search, and maybe WDWNT comes up, or any other people reviewing this, and everyone's like, not worth it. Or just general people who visited the parks are like, don't waste your time. And so the attendance is lower, and so they actually have to address this, and address this very quickly. Where in the past, when they had a subpar show like the Pocahontas and her Forest Friends, whatever that show was from 15, 20 years ago, that was there for years, and it wasn't that great.
I was looking forward to seeing this because I haven't seen it yet. I purposely didn't watch the videos because I was like, maybe it would be more entertaining in person seeing it with animals. But hearing that it's not the best show that it could be right now makes me want to see it even more before it goes away.
Now, we'll say this: we just saw it about a month ago, and actually, it was a full sitting. The audience was it was a full audience. And for us, though, especially my daughter is very much an animal lover. It doesn't matter what the script is; she still enjoys seeing the animals. So it's still a very positive thing for her. But on the flip side, the thing I like most about the story is the fact that Disney is actually listening, and I think that makes a big difference. And the fact that our opinions and our thoughts are being heard and they're being reacted to. So on the positive side of all this, I do appreciate the fact that we do have an opinion that counts.
Well,
Yeah, it is really nice to actually be heard and have things fixed. Like I know the Disney fan community tends to whine about a lot of things sometimes, but this one was genuinely one of the worst things out there, and it appears we've been heard and it's being fixed. So that's really cool.
Fix the Yeti.
It's on the to-do list. We got to tweet about it. It's going to happen eventually.
The Up Show is in a building surrounded by another building on a 30-foot platform.
The birds are one structure within the... No. All right.
Speaking of broken foundations.
Yeah, transition.
Oh, you got it for my job now. Gosh, look at this. So, speaking of broken foundations, I guess Disneyland has announced that it is going to be halting construction to build the proposed luxury resort in Disneyland because there's been this battle going on between Anaheim City Council and Disney about getting tax breaks for this hotel. The Disney Resort's quote was, "You have given us no other choice than to put construction of the hotel on indefinite hold as the resort reevaluates the economic viability of future hotel development in Anaheim." That's a very bold statement. It's not just about this hotel, but it's about all hotels for the future of hotels in Anaheim. And if Disney deems that hotel building here isn't viable, who else is going to try?
This is the equivalent of Disney having a temper tantrum. See, it's not just toddlers that have temper tantrums. And the crazy thing is, it's probably going to work, and I'm sure Anaheim is going to cave. But if some hotel chains were smart, they'd rush in there and build something really fast because they've got less than a year before Star Wars Land opens, and they could really scoop up a lot of the market.
Yeah.
Do we know how the hotel situation maps to park capacity in Disneyland right now? Like, is there more hotels than capacity, or is there more capacity than hotels?
It seems like there's more capacity than hotels, because every time I try to go out there, it's hard even to book in some of the Good Neighbor hotels, definitely any of the Disney hotels. So already there's not enough, but a lot of the people that are attending Disneyland are locals, so they're not even staying at those hotels necessarily, but there's still not enough for the people who are staying there for a day or two, so they need more.
When I play, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's a game of political chicken. Where it goes, I'm gonna guess eventually construction will start again because the land's cleared. Downtown, that part of downtown Disney is gone, so something's got to give. I just don't know how long it'll take.
Should I say the thing that we were talking about before about this,
Please.
this situation? It's just funny. Like Disney builds this thing, this theme park, if you will, and all these other hotels are trying to siphon off of all the people that are going there. And then Disney tries to do something to make sort of the congestion less terrible at the security check and outside the two parks with that north gate. And then the hotels have their temper tantrum where they're like, how dare you try and take away the business we tried to take away from you? And then Disney's like, fine, then we'll build a thing over here. And the city's like, no. And then Disney's like, well, what do you want us to do then? It's just a bizarre situation all over, especially like just how built up that area got around the parks. And like you said, something's got to give in that situation.
Oh, blessing aside in Florida, definitely showing why it's a blessing here. Speaking of Florida, hey, Pirates of the Caribbean for Mickey's Halloween or Not So Scary Halloween party got a couple live. I think how many live actors is it? I wasn't there. How many did we end up getting total?
3. As
Three
far
total?
as for the Pirates of the Caribbean, yes, we saw. Well, at least personally, we saw 3.
There's a live actor in the queue. We've got essentially a crier offering her reward for Gunpowder Pete's capture.
And then the infamous Gunpowder Pete himself just happens to be in the most appropriate spot to be seen by all who float underneath him.
And then the ride happens, and none of that translates into the ride.
So this is all in the queue?
Well, in the queue, actually, the first half of the queue, if you recall, there's like these smaller like floor dungeon areas where you can see the bars and you can see gunpowder and different ammo and things that are kind of in these dark areas. Basically, they lit one of these areas and they now have a live actor who's there at your heels as you walk by and making conversation and scaring the unsuspecting women in line who scream and jump up when they reach for them. That's the first part of the queue. And then as you're boarding the boats, there is, like you said, basically.
Oh, you're boarding goats now.
Yeah, the goats make it a really great ride. No, the second actor is holding a wanted poster basically and giving descriptions of a wanted Gunpowder Pete. Keep a lookout for him. Don't approach him. He is dangerous. Which I'm not sure why they're telling us he's wanted if we can't actually apprehend him. But that's sort of being announced as you climb into the ride vehicle. Then halfway through, over one of the maintenance bridges across the top, there is a live pirate actor who is mic'd, and he instantly acknowledges that he is Waldo, and you have found him, and you can't get him, and don't ask any more questions because I gotta go talk to the next boat. So it was. I'll be honest, we were looking for Gunpowder Pete the entire time, and then after we found him, we're like, well, I guess we're done. It was nice, a nice little touch, but it wasn't exactly what I would consider to be a seriously upgraded overlay for the most part.
How would you say this compares to what they do over at Haunted Mansion sometimes with having a couple live actors in the queue area there?
Well, it does provide some feedback. There is some interactivity. I think it's a good thing. To be honest, I didn't really hear too many other negative things. The guests seem to enjoy the interaction. So for that part, it is nice, especially if you're going to be riding the ride anyway. But it's no haunted holiday, haunted mansion. I can say that for sure. And they also had, as well, they added some lights to the Mad Teacups, and they added some additional music and turned off the lights for Space Mountain. So it's great to have a little bit of change for the rides for a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
It also feels like Disney's kind of looking for ways to enhance the queue experience. This may be a test run. Having a live interactive element might be a fun way to pass the time. It doesn't affect the ride experience. So for those who aren't a fan, well, at least the ride's fine. It just seems like an interesting experiment.
I will say this, though. If we were in Disneyland, I would have expected Johnny Depp to show up.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't he actually do that sometimes? Like actually show up in Pirates?
There was a promotional appearance for Dead Man Tell No Tales in which he did show up on the ride, and it was right around, I think, the water experiment section. So yes, it was a great experience for those who get to go to Disneyland to see Johnny. But obviously, he does not fly cross country.
I've heard he does the pirate
right.
training. Like he'll jump in and be Jack Sparrow in the pirate training sort of show that takes place there. I've just heard that.
I would believe that. I have no information to confirm or deny, but it sounds right. Moving on to our last story of the night, jumping back over to Disneyland. So Disney as a whole has already committed to removing as much single-use plastic as it can by what was the date they specified? There was,
I think, end of next year.
yeah, I believe that's correct. But starting this week, so pretty quick, Disneyland is going to be pulling plastic straws, lids from adult beverages, and single-use plastic bags from the parks. Which honestly, that's a pretty quick turnaround for this. Granted, it's removing something, not adding something, but that's pretty fast. I'm still honestly kind of unsure about this whole removing single-use plastics from the product stream concept. I mean, it's definitely good to minimize as much of that as possible, but it seems like there are some drawbacks to this that people might be overhyping this a little bit. Change my mind.
I think it did say that that plastic bags and things are available upon request anyway. So if you really need something, you can get it. It's just not the automatic. But
I believe you are correct, and I also believe that for things like plastic straws and lids, I think those might also be available on request if you have a demonstrable need.
and that makes a lot of sense to me because I think like I prefer to usually not use a straw anyway. So why are these things like why have we created a society where these things are just like handed out automatically? I just don't like the idea of like charging people for bags for merchandise that they purchase in the parks because that could dissuade people from buying more souvenirs, and that's good for Disney. But as long as they have it where if the people want it, they can request it and it's provided, then that sounds good.
Paying for bags is something that happens in a lot of grocery stores in some states. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I've remember reading that's a relatively common thing where grocery stores will charge you like 5 cents a bag and you can bring a bag back and get refunded. But
I had to in New York, yeah. In the city.
Our county doesn't do it, but the county next over from us does.
Oh, so it's county by county in some places. Wow.
I will say this though, the one thing I love the fact is they're getting rid of these single-use straws and lids like this. Mind you, we're already using paper straws in Animal Kingdom, so I think that's that's a possible alternative. But at the same time that they're having this news that they're removing the single-use straws, they're also announcing that Ziploc is our new sponsor for the Epcot World Showcase KidCot, as well as Splash Mountain. So don't have a place to put all those single-use straws? Well, you can use our Ziploc bags. So I think that's a very unfortunate timing as far as news stories are concerned. And at the same time, I think every time I go out to eat at Disney World now, I think I might not need this little bitty straw, but those 17 forks, knives, and spoons that come out of the dispensers, those all go in the trash can after the meals are over as well. So I think if you're going to go one way, there's a lot of plastic use already in the parks.
All right, and that's going to do it for this week's show, folks. Thank you all for joining us. Let's see what's coming up on the calendar here. So on August 27th, we have See You Real Late with Tom Corliss coming to you at, I believe, 10 o'clock? Let me get the time right so that I don't give people the wrong time here. That is at 11 o'clock on the 27th. So if you are a Wigs member, you should tune in and watch that. It's our take on a nightly news talk show, but Disney focused and relatively funny, I'd say. as funny as a couple Disney nerds right Nick can make it. It's a grand time. I watch it every time we do one, and I highly recommend you do so as well. But it is available only to Wigs members. That is our term for our patrons over at patreon.com/WDWNT. For as little as $2 a month, you can get access to shows like See You Real Late. You can get access to the entire podcast backlog, and you can get access to the ParksCenter post show, which is also coming up right after this show. So stay tuned for that if you're a Wigs member. Also coming up relatively soon, September 12th is Ride Rehab's Imagination Appreciation Day. Tyler, you want to talk about that a bit?
Yes, Imagination is definitely not super loved, and we're like, let's try and fix that. So Tyler, myself, and my co-host Thomas are going to be going to host the Imagination Appreciation event. So it's totally free. It is not an official event by Disney, so don't talk about it online that way. It's going to be just a quick meet and greet. We'll maybe record like a really quick podcast segment in front of a group of people. We're going to be doing a group ride of Journey into Imagination and trying to give the best experience possible to the cast members who work there. And then we're going to give away some little prizes. We have these awesome ride rehab pins that we're going to be giving away. These are enamel, like Disney trading pins, and we are going to give them to the first 100 people who shop. We have 100 of them that we're just going to give away for free. So totally free to attend. Obviously, like transportation to Epcot and ticket are not included. But once you get in the park, come and find us. It's at 1 p.m. on September 12th, right in front of the Imagination Pavilion.
All right. Thank you, folks, for joining us. If you are a Wix member watching live, you can see us in the post show, which should be embedded right below this one. If not, we will see you again next week.